I know we've not done a graphic organizer like this before, but this video is going to give you all of the notes that we've had so far on slope. I know you guys are kind of struggling with slope a little bit. I need you to understand that slope and rate of change are the same thing. We was doing really well with rate of change. You should do really well with slope. Now, on the front, I folded it in half. Your page is going to look like this. And what I've done is I've folded it in half on the first line on the outside. Okay, this was the outside. Now, when you fold it in half, you're going to see three dotted lines, and then you've got a solid line. You're also going to want to fold this back on that other solid line so that when you open it up, you end up with a note sheet on the inside. Now, what you can do is take a pair of scissors, and you're going to cut each of these tabs apart on the dotted line. You can do it at the beginning or you can do it at the end. It doesn't matter when. But you want these to be little lift flaps. Now, my advice would be on the inside of this where it says slope tab, I would take just a little bit of glue with a glue stick and I would glue that down so it stays in the right position. Now, I forgot to draw the line on here for you, so I've given you the 2 points so you could draw your own line. 0, 2 is here, and 3, 7, you're going to go over to 3, and you're going to go up to 7. And then if you draw the line that goes through those, it looks like this. Okay, so there's your example of a graph. I've given you a table. I've given you 2 ordered pairs, and I've given you an equation. We should be able to find the slope from each one of these. So let's start with graphing. If we open up our graph tab, at the top, you see a blank graph. You're going to have to plot your line again. We're at 0, 2 and 3, 7. Draw your line. Now, remember that slope on a graph is rise over run. And we can actually count this out from any 2 points. Since I've given you 2 points, that'll make it that much easier to calculate. To figure this one out, we're going to start at 2, and we're going to go up on our graph until we get even with that next point. So we're going to count up from 2 to 7, which is a change of positive 5. So we're solving for slope. Our rise is going up 5, which is positive. And then once we get level with our next point, we're going to count across from left to right. So start here at 0, and we went 3 spaces to the right. So our run is positive 3. That gives us a slope of 5/3. Remember that slope is always read from left to right. Now, some quick examples. A positive slope will look like this. It's going to run uphill from left to right. A negative slope is going to run downhill from left to right. A 0 slope is constant. Okay, there's no rise to that one. It's all run. And an undefined slope is a vertical line that is also not a function. Now, once you get all that filled in, we're done with slope on a graph. Now we can go to our next tab, which is finding slope from a table. Just lift that tab back, and we've got ratio. It's a ratio. We're going to use division. Remember that m in a table is delta y over delta x. Now, if you can't remember what that means, delta y is your change in y, and delta x is your change in x. Now, as we go down the table, this is going to look familiar to you. To find my delta x, I want to know what is happening as I go from each x to each y in my table. From -1 to +2 is +3. From 2 to 4, actually that's +2. No, it's +3. From 2 to 4 is plus 2. From 4 to 5 is plus 1. And from 5 to 8 is plus 3. Notice how all of those are different except for the first one and the last one. That's okay as long as the ratios come out the same at the end. Now, for our delta y's, we're going from negative 2 to positive 4. That's going to be adding 6. From positive 4 to positive 8, we're adding 4. From 8 to 10 is plus 2. And from 10 to 16 is plus 6. Now, I want you to check those ratios to make sure that they're the same. We're going to write those ratios as delta y over delta x, and then we're going to check to see if they're equivalent. So our first one is 6 over 3. Our second one is 4 over 2. Our third one is 2 over 1. And our last one is 6 over 3. Now, they look different at this point, but if we simplify these, 6 over 3 is 2, 2 over 4 is 2, 2 over 1 is 2, and 6 over 3 is 2. Now, because all of them are the same, that means that we have a constant rate of change, which makes this table a linear function. And our rate of change, or our slope, is equal to 2, or 2 over 1. Now, ordered pairs are next. We've been given two ordered pairs. We're going to open this tab up, and you're going to see some notes at the top. Remember that slope. We're still dealing with delta y over delta x. This time we have a formula. It's y minus y, or y sub 2 minus y sub 1, over x minus x, which would be x sub 2 minus x sub 1. I just need you to understand we're subtracting each of the y's, and then we're subtracting each of the x's in the same order. All right, you need to remember that y always goes on top. And you can use any 2 points that are on the line. Okay, it takes 2 points to use the slope formula. I've given you an example. It's the same one that's on the front. It says find the slope of a line that passes through the points 2, negative 3, and 5, negative 6. You just need to decide which one you want to do first. It doesn't matter. I will actually show you both ways. So let's say we want to do the pink points first. I've got 2, negative 3, and I've got 5, negative 6. Smeared that. All right, I'm going to do y minus y. So negative 3 minus negative 6. That's negative 3 minus negative 6. It's really important that you put both of those negatives there. My x's I'm going to do in the same order. I started with the pink y, so I'm going to start with the pink x. 2 minus the yellow x, which is 5. Now when I simplify this, 2 negatives make a positive, and I have negative 3 plus 6, which is positive 3, and I have 2 minus 5, which is negative 3. Positive 3 divided by negative 3 gives us a slope of negative 1. Now, if you did those in a different order, if you started with the yellow point, you would have written your equation as negative 6 minus negative 3, negative 6 minus negative 3, and then you would have divided by the matching x, which is 5, minus the other x, which was 2. You're going to simplify again. Again, 2 negatives make a positive, giving me negative 6 plus 3 is negative 3, and 5 minus 2 is positive 3. We still have 3's. The only thing that's different is our negative was on the bottom, now it's on the top. Negative 3 divided by positive 3 gives us the same result of negative 1. So it doesn't matter which order you put the points in, as long as you're consistent and watch for double negatives, you'll get the same answer. The last thing that needs to go on here is finding the slope from an equation. When you open up that tab, you're going to see slope-intercept form. Y is equal to mx plus b. M is the slope. Guys, if you're looking at an equation that has been solved for y, the coefficient of x will always be your slope. And then b will be your y-intercept. I've got some examples at the bottom. Example, find the slope. Y is equal to 2x plus 3. Y equals mx plus b. You're looking for the slope. Slope is the m. So our slope is 2. The second equation, y is equal to 1/4 x plus 2. That one's already solved for y, and it's in the form y equals mx plus b. We are just looking to see what the m is. Okay, the coefficient of x is 1/4, so our slope is 1/4. The last one says y equals x. I know some of you jump to the conclusion that there's not a slope. Well, there is a slope. Y equals mx. X has a coefficient. If there's not a number before x, there is an implied 1. So our slope is 1. And that's just a quick review on how to find slope. You're going to want to fill this out completely. You're going to want to make sure that you fold it right. I'm going to have to trim mine a little bit because you can't see the bottom part there. I've got at the bottom, it says rate of change, ratio, steepness of a line. All of those are just other things that go with slope. Okay, slope is the rate of change. It's written as a ratio, and it represents the steepness of a line.